The first Pokemon Go Community Day of July has been announced, so let's run through all the important details, tips, and tricks you should know for this event. On Sunday, July 9th from 2 to 5 p.m., this Community Day Classic will feature the fan-favorite Pokemon Squirtle. If you want a Squirtle with a perfect IV, the most common CPs you can catch or hatch it at are highlighted below. Just remember, it can also be any of the non-highlighted CPs, they just won't be as common as the highlighted ones, so keep that in mind. Now, if you evolve Squirtle to its final form Blastoise during the event or up to 2 hours after, you'll be able to teach it the move Hydro Cannon. The damage of this move will vary depending on the battle type, so for those trainer battles, it'll deal 80 damage and cost 40 energy, while for gyms and raids, it'll deal 90 damage. This move complements Ice Beam perfectly, so regardless of whether you're using Blastoise in PvP or in raids, I highly recommend getting one with those moves, and I'll go into more details on why later in this video. As always, you can purchase a special research story ticket for $1 that gives you access to certain tasks to get Squirtle, Wartortle, or Blastoise. And for the bonuses, we won't have as many as last time, but we'll have 1/4 egg hatch distance, lore modules and incense that will last 3 hours, a field research task to get you extra encounters with Squirtle wearing sunglasses, boosted shiny rates for Squirtle, which are 1 in 25, and if you take some snapshots, you have a few extra Squirtle encounters. So those were the event details. Now let's dive into some important tips and tricks to maximize your rewards during this event. Now, the first thing everyone looks for during community days is a chance to get a Hundo. Now, going back to that perfect IV chart, rather than focusing on just catching wild Pokemon, you actually have better odds to get a Hundo if you acquire Squirtle through the field research tasks or by hatching eggs. And basically, as you can see here, the max CP for Squirtle by hatching an egg is 540, while for the research encounters, it's 405, which are both guaranteed. Now, wild encounters, on the other hand, are far trickier since they can be very random, but some can be more beneficial than others. So with that being said, let's run through the best IVs for Blastoise in Great, Ultra, and Master League. In the Great League, the number 1 IV rank for Blastoise is going to be 1, 15, and 15. With this IV, you're going to get the best possible stat combination for Blastoise that basically maximizes its productivity, but generally anything with a low attack that has high defense and health will work just fine. So for example, even if you get this 0, 10, and 13 IV, you're still sitting at the number 8 spot. Now for the Ultra League, you're looking at a perfect IV of 15, 15, 15 as the number 1 IV rank, and this is because Blastoise has a max CP of 2466, which is just below that 2500 Great League limit. Also, if you happen to have some extra XL candies you can give Blastoise, or even a Hundo one that is a best buddy, you'll get an additional CP boost to make it even better to use in Ultra League. Now, this should go without being said, but if you do any of those two methods, make sure that your Blastoise still has a CP of 2500 or lower, so that way you can still use it in Ultra League. Now, finally, the Master League. So Blastoise is essentially non-existent. However, Blastoise does have a Mega Evolution that can be used. So if you're using Mega Blastoise, again, you'll want to use a perfect IV'd one since it'll give you that highest CP, which is 4455 when Mega Evolved. Now, with all that IV talk, we have to ask the question, is Blastoise actually any good in Pokemon Go? The short answer is yes, but really only if it's Mega Evolved. And the reason I say that is because Mega Blastoise is ranked as the number 3 overall water raid attacker in the game with Hydro Cannon, so it's definitely worth using. And just to give you all an idea of how important Hydro Cannon is, without it, Mega Blastoise gets bumped down to rank 16 overall when it has Hydro Pump instead. Now, as far as PvP goes, Blastoise has very little value in Ultra League, but doesn't do too bad in Great League. And as you can see here, this is how Blastoise would stack up against the meta Pokemon in both leagues. So in Great League, you're getting those great counters against Stunfisk, Swampert, Bastiodon, Sableye, and, a couple of these other ones down here. But in Ultra League, not a lot you can counter here. Now, when looking at the Master League, Mega Blastoise is actually a solid choice to go against these meta Pokemon. You're being able to take out Lugias, Groudons, Zacians, even Mewtwo's one-on-one. But it's actually still good against some of these dragon Pokemon here too, such as Dragonite and Garatinas, because it has Ice Beam in that moveset. Now, if the IVs, battling, or even this community day doesn't really appeal to you, you can still take advantage of the 1/4 egg hatch distance that's taking place during this event. So for example, if you want to hatch a 10-kilometer egg, it's only going to take 2.5 kilometers to hatch this time. But just remember that this bonus will not be in effect until the event actually starts. So if you plan on grinding some eggs, make sure you don't put them in incubators until 2 p.m. your local time. Finally, that leads us to the medals and which ones you should focus on for this event. So for those unaware, if you want to level up from level 48 to 49, you'll need to have 35 different platinum medals completed. So it really never hurts to start focusing on these, especially during community days. So the first one to focus on will of course be the Swimmer medal, where you'll need to catch 2,500 water type Pokemon. So if you haven't completed it yet, this is a great opportunity since of course Squirtle is a water type Pokemon. The next one will be the Breeder medal. For this one, you have to hatch 2,500 eggs, and with that 1/4 4th egg hatch distance bonus. This makes hatching those eggs super easy. So if you focus solely on hatching 2-kilometer eggs, you only need to walk half a kilometer if you're using a normal incubator. So that doesn't even count the super incubators, which will obviously speed up this process even more. You'll also get some easy field research tasks during this event, such as catching a certain number of Squirtle. So you'll be able to make some good progress on the Pokemon Ranger medal, which requires you to complete 2,500 field research tasks. And if you're going to be around Pokestops, you might as well take advantage of progressing the Picnicker medal, where you'll need to use a lore module to help any trainer catch 2,500 Pokemon. So if you're in a busier area such as downtown, near a park, or even some type of historical landmark, make sure you throw a lore module down regardless on if you're staying in that spot or not. And for those of you who don't live or are not near a busy area, as long as you have a Pokestop near you, it still doesn't hurt to throw a lore module down and catch the Pokemon that are around it yourself, since it will still count towards that total, so any progress will really help. With that being said, those are my Squirtle Community Day tips and tricks. I know this Pokemon has been in the game since day one, but I hope you were still able to get something out of it, and if there's any other tips that you have in mind, make sure you leave a comment. Hope you guys all get that Hundo, and I'll see you in the next one.